Hello, I'm Steven, the calculator guy, and I just realized I have some of my daughter's drool on me. I guess that's just the way it goes. Just washed this shirt. Oh well. So anyways, we're going to talk about some of the common dangers or traps that farms set, and then where farming can actually be pretty profitable. So what is a farm? Well, a farm is a place where you'll take your liquidity pool tokens or your tokens and just plant them there to get some sort of yield or money from the farm, right? And this is probably one of the first things you'll start doing in DeFi, as it's a very popular way to earn yield. However, there are some things that every new farmer really needs to be aware of, and things that I wish I was aware of when I first started farming. So we're going to start with Trick or Treat. Now, Trick or Treat farm has been around for quite a while, but this is a good example of what to be wary of. So I'm not to say I don't like this farm. In fact, I actually made a profit off this farm a long time ago using Wrap Memo. But here's how a farm works, right? A farm will incentivize different liquidity pools like Phantom USDT Phantom or USDC Phantom or FUSDT, blah, 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 all of these pools with additional APR on top of the fee APR. So does it tell me here? No. So basically, the way these things work is you're getting some APR from the fees generated by those two tokens swapping back and forth on whatever platform you get this from. So SpookySwap. So these two tokens are being swapped back and forth on SpookySwap and generating small transaction fees. Now you're getting that, and you're also getting additional incentives in the proprietary token Treat. So Treat is the proprietary token that is boosting these APRs even more, which is fantastic, right? You're getting more money than you would have otherwise. However, what you really need to be aware of is this deposit fee. So the deposit fee, which is 2% here, is going to take some time to recoup. So if you have an investment of, let's say, $100, and you take a deposit fee of $2 off of that, you're at $98. So now it's going to take you 2.08% to get back to that $100 initially. Now at 52% APR, that's like 0.14% per day, it's going to take you, I don't know, roughly 2.5 weeks to recoup that initial loss. And by that time, you see this liquidity is pretty low. If someone deposits $10,000, $100,000 into here, that APR is going to tank down to something like 10% or less, which is going to take you way longer to recoup. So you can be stuck in this farm for a month or months just recouping your initial deposit fee. That's one thing to consider, right? You might think, well, I can avoid the deposit fees with these farms up here. This Trick Phantom and Treat Phantom, they have, I don't know, 735% APR. That's thousands of percent APY. That's really good. You're making literally 2% return on investment per day. Okay, well that's my daughter trying to bounce her with one leg as I do this video. That's the second trap. So the first trap is deposit fees, right? They get that deposit fee, they pocket that, and then, if you make a profit, that's on you, right? You might have to stay in there for a very long time. I don't know if you want to stay in for that long. It totally depends on your willingness to be exposed to those tokens. But they've already made their profit. They made that deposit fee. And then with these ones, right, you have your Trick and or your Treat, which are both proprietary tokens of this, that you can have no deposit fee on, but those tokens, farm tokens, trend towards zero. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to show you some charts, right? So here is Scary Swap, or sorry, this is Scarecrow. Scarecrow was a farm, actually a pretty decent farm, but there's a build-up usually before the farm starts, and then once, oh, that's terrible, so that looks obscene. There's a build-up usually before the farm starts or right in the early days of the farm, and then as those tokens are printed or released en masse and dumped, because the only purpose really of these tokens is to be sold for rewards, right? You get the token, you sell it so you can either compound your investment or you sell it for profit. Its only purpose is to be sold. So because of that, it trends towards zero. So that is Scare from Scarecrow, which was one of the biggest farms on Phantom at one point in time. Here's Treat. You can see early days up and then straight down. So up to at some point 300, almost, yeah, past $600, and now it's struggling to be at $2, right? Yes, it has had a couple great days recently, going from 70 cents to almost $3, but really at the end of the day, it's going to trend towards zero. Here's Phantom Pup, really early days, big explosion upwards, and then tank. Okay, here's Fox from Farmers Only, early days, and then tank. Here's Viper Swap, which is actually a pretty interesting use case. They make you lock up your tokens. You can see, oh, the lockup period. We have some interesting things about the locking. Down to down 40%. Still, Viper Swap I don't know. Viper Swap is more than just a farm, and we're going to get into that in just a second. So what are some ways to avoid some of these traps? Well, the number one way is to look for farms that don't have deposit fees, and then farms that do yield aggregation or auto compounding. So Farmers Only, which is a nice auto compounding yield aggregating farm on Harmony, though of course there's also Beefy on Harmony, so these two are sort of competing, does allow for auto compounding and does allow you to choose farms with no deposit fees that are not using proprietary tokens. So here we have the Fox token. Again, I don't want any exposure to that because the Fox token, according to my thesis, will always trend towards zero, and we can see this play out in real time. So I don't want any of these, but I might look at the ETH1, 18%. Okay, not terrible. Maybe the UST one at 31%. Look over here at fees. There's a 0.2% withdrawal fee, which isn't incredibly high, and then with rewards fee is 4%. So what that means is for every $1 of rewards you get, they take 4 cents away from that. Not horrible, right? And that's the price you pay for them auto compounding it for you. At least it's not a fee on your initial. That would be much worse. That's what the other farms generally have. My daughter is now falling out of her bouncy chair. 1 second. Okay, so you might be thinking, do all farms do this? Do all swaps do this? I mean, there are some pretty big chip, or rather big tokens out there that are used with farms or that are used with swaps. So let's look, right? I think we might have just looked at Ready. Ready is one that's coming out soon. So I believe, in a few weeks' time, this will trend towards zero. Treat is one we just looked at, trending towards zero. Pup is another one, trending towards zero. Fox we're looking at now, trending towards zero. Viper Swap, tanking right now. But they also, Paw, another one, trending towards zero. Let's look at some of the bigger ones, right? Let's look at Trader Joe. Trader Joe is a large AMM, right? It's a place where you can do exchanging, lending, borrowing, and the token Joe has a use case. You can stake it for a portion of that exchange's of fees, right? So you're earning the fees from the exchange by staking your Joe, getting X Joe. It's a yield-bearing token. You can go and do things with that, like you can borrow against on Abracadabra. Well, let's say it started at $3.53. It is down by 2/3 now, by 66%. So it's not having a good time. Peaked around $5. So it never more than doubled, but it has less than halved. Okay, and the yield you would have gotten from October until now would not have made up for that tank in price. So this is the largest exchange on Avalanche. Avalanche, a chain which has been doing pretty well. Now, granted, in November, the market started to go down. So you could say that had the markets not gone down, maybe this would look a little bit different. And I'll give you that. I'll say that that's a potential. So let's look at longer term farms. Let's look at some of the oldest farms and swaps and exchanges and AMMs in the book. So let's look at Sushi Swap, right? Okay, Sushi Swap, we're starting off at $8, going all the way up to $16. Let's say November, right? So November is sort of the height of the markets. We're looking at $13. Now we're back down to $5, right? $5, so we've less than halved again. And why is that? Well, it's because rewards on Sushi Swap are paid out in sushi, which means people are taking that sushi, and more often than not, they're going to go and flip that. They're going to go and sell that. But maybe you're not convinced, right? Maybe you think, okay, well, sushi's going through a change in... Oh, no. 1 second. Look at this cutie patootie. All right, so maybe you're thinking that sushi is just getting a new management system. They're going through a whole sort of changing of the guards. Danny, who is getting mixed press right now, is trying to take over sushi. There's a lot going on. Maybe that's affecting the price, right? Maybe that's affecting the confidence in the token and the swap and the whole exchange. Maybe. So let's look at like Big Daddy Uniswap, which is the largest swap, I believe, in existence, at least decentralized exchange. I think number 4 out of all exchanges, but number 1 in decentralized exchanges. And let's see how they're doing, right? Farm tokens, exchange tokens, trend towards zero because their whole purpose is to be sold. That's why they exist. They exist to act as rewards for people who are farming on their ecosystem, right? They're additional incentives for farms. And as such, they're going to trend towards zero as people utilize those rewards for profit, i.e. sell them. So again, what can you do to avoid this, right? There are a few things that you can do. One of them is use yield aggregators, so things that auto-compound for you, which limits your exposure to those tokens. Effectively, instead of getting exposed to the Fox token here, or getting exposed to the Uni token, or the Sushi token, or whatever token it is, you are having some sort of exchange, or some sort of protocol that takes those and then sells them back into the liquidity pool that you want. So you're just compounding your rewards instead of ever being exposed. One of the best places to do that is, of course, if you're in DeFi, you know this already, is Beefy Finance. Not a sponsor, just like Beefy. They're very secure. They have, to my knowledge, never been hacked. And look how many chains they're on. Even Metis, even Fuse, which I'm excited to explore more in the future. But you have Moonriver, Asilo, Kronos, so many different chains. So, I mean, you can even look at like what's going on in Metis right now. They just paired up with them, and you can see like these. Yeah, sure, I'll switch. These rates, which I want to show you really quick. These really high percent APYs would force you to be exposed to the farm token, right? The farm tokens that very often, more often than not, trend towards zero. So, do you want exposure to net? Probably not. Do you want exposure to Tethys? Probably not. So what you can do is automatically farm these things for 736% APY. Let's look at USDT Metis, 427% APY. And I mean, this is, of course, if you're bullish on the Metis ecosystem, and not have any exposure to that net farm token. So that's why I think yield aggregators are really nice. Of course, you can compound manually. Effectively, when Beefy does it, they're compounding anywhere between like 24 times a day to 3 times a day, depending on the TVL. At least that's last time I checked. And so these are going to be compounded very frequently. It's not just going to be compounded once a day, which is probably what someone like me would do with the amount of time that I have. So let's review, right? What are the ways that these farms and these exchanges are going to not necessarily try to trap you, but what are some of the ways that you can take a profitable opportunity and make it unprofitable? The first way, as we mentioned, is deposit fees. So beware deposit fees, beware withdrawal fees, because those fees, while they seem small, 2%, right? 2% in the face of 10 billion percent APY seems like nothing. But the moment people start depositing into that pool is the moment that APR starts tanking and making your time to recoup your fee longer and longer and longer, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. And then you're stuck with an asset in a protocol that if you want to withdraw and utilize, you will have to accept the fact that you are now at a loss, as opposed to never entering that farm in the first place. Why won't you just sleep? It's your nap time. Yeah, it's your nap time. Yo, you're gonna smack me in the face. I get like 2 times in the entire day where I can do recordings, which is when my wife is going to pick up my son from school, and then in the middle of the night when I'm super tired and don't have the energy to do recordings. And like, she's supposed to be napping right now. So frustrating. You're supposed to be napping right now. You drank your milk. You played with things. You had a fun day today. Okay, well, so it goes. The second way, as a reminder, that you can sort of get burned is by seeing the really attractive APYs and APRs from the farm token, seeing that there's never a deposit fee with the farm token asset, and then jumping into those opportunities. Now, this doesn't mean they will never be profitable. It's an odds game, right? You're playing the odds, you're playing the numbers. More often than not, you will not be profitable because these will trend towards zero while you're in the investment, generally faster than the APYs and APRs can make up for it. Because remember, the APYs, the way those work is that's just printed token being thrown at you. And what are you going to do with those tokens? You're going to hold them forever? No, you're going to sell them. And everyone else is too. So they're selling those rewards as they're being given to you. I mean, even when you're auto compounding, what happens is you're getting, in this case, you're getting net, right? Sort of printed and given to you. And this auto compounder is taking that net, selling it for BNB and net, and then putting it back into the LP. So this auto compounder is literally selling net like every single second, just automatically, right? So just do be aware of that, guys. This is something that I wish I knew when I first started farming, because I was like, oh man, these are such great opportunities, and then totally ignored the 2% fees. I'm like, 2%? I'm getting like 300% APR. Why do I need to care about 2%? And the next day, that 200, 300% APR was like 10%. I'm like, oh, that's why I should care about that fee. So, words of wisdom, words of experience. Just please be aware of deposit fees. Please be aware of farm tokens. Even be aware of exchange tokens, DEX tokens, which are slightly less volatile but still seem to trend downwards, as their primary use is to be sold. If you want access to me or my team, or you want access to me just directly, you can go ahead and join the Patreon or the Discord. You join the free Discord in the description. You join the paid portion of the Discord through the Patreon at the $20 tier, or you can just join the Patreon and, you know, communicate with me at your leisure and see my exclusive content. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your day. You pooped.